Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, and this is part 2 of my first video of all the things I have created in the last 6 months. So I just finished showing you guys the purses that I made, and now it's time to but to show you guys my most recent items. Okay, so time to continue off where I stopped. So this is still acrylic, and I don't honestly know where this fits in my order because I filmed a video on this, but I did not post it. I did not post that video because this did not come out the way I envisioned, like all my other things. Let me tell you about this piece right here. I loved the idea of this. I loved it so much, but when I did it, I experimented with the collar, and I think that is where I went wrong with this piece because everything else about it is nice. It's just the collar part, and it was too tight, so I needed to add another row of squares, but I took out a row of squares, which I shouldn't have done. But this was such a good idea. I love the heart in the, is this a spade or the diamond? I love the spade, and then it was versatile. So I mean, it was the same thing on the back, but it didn't come out the way I expected to. When I tell you the collar was like, it was like this, and it was so tight. It was so tight to the point where my stitches were opening because it was stretching on my body. It was so horrible. And the crazy thing is, I filmed the entire video, but this piece is not on my channel because I was like, there's no way I am wearing this. I couldn't even wing it. I couldn't wing this piece. This was another piece that could not be saved, and I could have done what I did with my patchwork sweater vest, but I was like, I'm not even going to try. I totally gave up on this piece, and I shouldn't have, because I could have created something cool with this, and I think that's why I kept it, so I can one day come back and make something out of it. But for now, this is just a piece that has never been debuted on my channel because it was just this bad. It was so bad, guys. I wouldn't say it was as worse as my Nike one that I turned into a patchwork sweater vest. Why am I saying sweater vest? That I turned into a vest, but it was up there with it. It was right there with it because it was bad. I couldn't even do it, and my sisters laughed at me again, so I also knew that this was not it. This could not be seen for the world. So I tossed this to the side and never looked back. So next is my tube top that I made, and I love this tube top. I never made a tube top before this, but I was like, literally all I have to do is crochet something like super long and make it almost connect in the back, and then chain like 100 or something and create string. So that's what I did. And of course, I was still into checkered at this point. I don't know why I was just so consumed with checkered print. Like I was just in love with checkers, so I wanted to do half checkered, half solid, and I did, and I loved how this came out. This, I keep saying like it was my favorite piece, but this was like one of my favorite pieces. Like I loved how this came out, and then I think I loved how the pictures came out too, because I kind of had purple hair. I don't know if you guys could tell, but that hair was purple. It was kind of on a faded side of purple, but it was supposed to be purple. But I loved this tube top so much. I loved wearing it, and I never wore a tube top before then. I don't think I've, like, literally in clothes ever, I don't think I've ever worn a tube top unless a strapless bra counts, but I don't think it does. So this was my first tube top I've ever worn and made, and it came out so good. Like I love this piece so much, and I made this on my channel, so you guys can check this video out as well. Up next, I have this patchwork vest. Okay, so this was me trying to make a pattern for you guys to have, but it didn't come out the way I expected. I know I'm literally repeating myself, but it didn't come out the way I wanted to. And it's a cute vest, and this was so hard to make because I've never made like a square that's like this before. So that was the hardest part for me, even though it looks like it will be easy. And I wasn't supposed to single crochet around this. I was supposed to do like, you know, the chain 5 and then go in and then, you know, keep going in and out, in and out, in and out. But I could not do that. And then this was so wide, like literally if I didn't wear a bra, my boob would just be out seen because of how low it was. It should have stopped like right here maybe, but it didn't. And that's a part of the reason why I didn't really care for this top as well. So, but the pictures I took with this came out like really nice, but I didn't film this at all. Did I film this like period? I don't even think I filmed this period because I was gonna make another one to film, but I didn't even care at that point because it came out like this. I mean, this isn't bad, don't get me wrong, it's not bad, but this whiteness and it was big. I don't know what I did to, I don't know if I measured myself or what the process was, but it didn't turn out the way I wanted to. So I was like, I'm not even going to try and make anything with this. And at this point I was kind of like getting tired of patchwork because it wasn't coming out how I expected it to come out. Like all my projects were like too big or too small. There was no like median, and the only two I liked were the first two I ever did, and I tried to implement that process again, but it wasn't working. So at this point I was kind of over patchwork. I just made this as a way of trying to tell myself like, maybe, you know, I'm just tripping, and if I make this piece good, you know, it'll all be good. But this piece didn't even come out the way I expected it to again. So I was like, I don't think I can do patchwork. And so I went to my sisters and I was like, okay, listen, I know I said that I'm only gonna do patchwork and all this stuff, but I don't think I want to continue doing patchwork. And they were like, oh, what? Oh my gosh, I can't, because for the longest I was just like patchwork, patchwork, patchwork. Nobody's gonna stray me from this patchwork path. But I was strayed and I stopped. That was my last patchwork piece I ever made and probably will ever do, because I'm over patchwork. And honestly, the thought of doing like 64 squares and then sewing them all together is just such a turn off. I don't even know what was going on in my mind to make me think that doing patchwork was easier than crocheting, like, you know, regularly. I was just on this patchwork binge. I don't know, I was blinded by patchwork because it was just so easy and beginner friendly. I think since it was so beginner friendly, that's why I attached so quickly to it, and I didn't want a challenge, because I knew going straight up would be a challenge for me since I was so used to patchwork and that's what I started off with. But at that point with that vest, I was like, I just have to have a challenge, because I can't do this patchwork anymore. Like, I'm over it. I'm over how it looks. And then you're limited with patchwork than you are with regular clothing, crochet clothing, because you can only do so much with patchwork, in my opinion. So I was like, I'm done with this. I'm not gonna do it. I'm just going to get into regular clothes, and I did. So my first piece of regular non-patchwork crochet clothing was the one and only Stripe Madness crop top. This was the first piece I made that wasn't patchwork. Well, if we're not including the tube top, I consider this my first piece without patchwork or any type of squares in general. This was striped. So my Stripe Madness crop top, my baby, the beginning of it all. So this was my first time using cotton yarn as well. Before, I was using strictly acrylic and impeccable yarn, and acrylic and impeccable, that doesn't make sense. I was using Red Heart and impeccable yarn at that point with all my patchwork pieces. So this was my first time using cotton yarn, and of course it is Lily Sugar and Cream, my go-to cotton yarn. And when I was making this, or before I made it, because, you know, I'm so used to patchwork, I was like, I want to make a crop top, but I don't know how to make a crop top. But then I remembered my sister, Copy Callie or Kalila, she makes you know, she was making all this other stuff. She wasn't into patchwork. She was never into patchwork. It was just me and Kahila. No, her name's not More, Crochet with K. So we were into patchwork, but Kalila, she wasn't. So I remember her like showing me how to, you know, make a, I remember her showing me or me seeing, either way, she showed me how to do the fundamentals of like a front panel and a back panel. And for the sleeve, she's never made a short sleeve shirt before, but I wanted to make it short sleeve. I didn't want a long sleeve one, so I was like, it would be the same as long sleeve, but I just measured like my arm. And she was like, yeah, you know, that's basically what you would do. So using the knowledge she gave me, the knowledge I already had, I just started crocheting. I just had my Lily Sugar and Cream yarn, and I just started crocheting. I did the front panel first, which was my first time doing like a decrease stack collar type one, and that was so difficult for me because I've never done that before. I never did that before. But yeah, it was so hard. When I tell you, this was so hard for me to do because it was my first time doing non-patchwork, and I was using a new yarn, and Lily Sugar and Cream is so stiff compared to like regular acrylic. So it was so hard for me from transitioning to using new yarn and all the other stuff. But in the end, it came out so good, and everyone loved this top. And I was surprised because I was like, I just want to make a regular striped crop top shirt, and then everyone on my Instagram, when I posted it, it went crazy. Everyone loved it, and I was like, what? Hold on, patchwork, I will never see you again. And I've been with cotton, my Lily Sugar and Cream yarn, ever since then. This piece was the beginning of it all, and after this piece, that was when I was like, I am for sure never ever going back to patchwork or acrylic yarn. But I still did go back to acrylic yarn, but you'll see literally later on because I have another piece. But this was the beginning, and I would say this is my favorite piece I've ever made so far, only because this was the beginning of it all, and it came out so cute, and I love it, you know, love it. So that is my Stripe Madness crop top, and I have a tutorial on this top as well if you're interested in making your own. I had a brain fart for a second. So yeah, Stripe Madness. So my next one, which has like lipstick, I don't even know, was another Stripe Madness because I needed to make a tutorial. So I made this one for the tutorial, and I actually made this one a little too big for me. I don't know, I kind of measured my waist wrong. I didn't measure wrong, I just did too many rows than I should have done. And I could have, you know, unraveled it and make it fit, but I was like, I don't even care, I'm just gonna make it and it'll just come out the way it comes out. But it came out so cute, and I love how and I pinned it because it was so big, and I didn't even know the safety pin was still in there, but I think that's called a safety pin. But anyway, yeah, so this one came out so good. I mixed up the colors in the back with the front, and it was just a fun, cute piece. I love the colors I used for it. And yeah, but I have like makeup all on it because I don't know, when I'm taking it off, all my makeup just gets on it. But I love this piece. I love it, I love it, I love it. This is definitely a high second. We're not even talking about the patchwork sweaters at this point. We're just talking about my cotton projects, which I just love it. But yeah, this was my second Stripe Madness crop top. Oh, then I made this, okay? Then I made this piece. I needed to do a piece for staying up for 24 hours, and I wanted something that wasn't long because I'm staying up for 24 hours. I wanted to finish a project in that video. So I decided to do I wouldn't even call this a Stripe Madness crop top. I would call it like Checkered Madness or something. But it was a crop top with the pattern I used, so I just call everything Stripe Madness even though it's not striped. But I made this, and I got lazy in the back because I did all this in the front. I literally thought of it while I was recording in that video, and I have that up on my channel for you guys to see if you want to or if you're interested. And this, I don't know, I'm back to checkered again. I don't know what is wrong with me and checkered. This piece was super easy. I used acrylic yarn because I didn't want to waste my Lily Sugar and Cream on a project that I didn't really care about. So I used this So I used acrylic on this one, but this was the last time I used acrylic for any of my projects. I went right back to Lily Sugar and Cream after this because I was like, this was a once in a lifetime thing. I just didn't want to waste my precious yarn just yet on something that was just made for a video, you know. But this shirt came out like really cute. I actually love it, and I love how I've never made anything that wasn't patchwork with acrylic yarn. So this was my first time making something that wasn't patchwork with acrylic yarn. I literally just repeated myself, but I loved what I did with the front, and it was a nice, fun, cute piece I did. And yeah, on to the next. So next up is my Grand Canyon crop top that I made at the Grand Canyon. Of course, I have a video on that. And I made the back tan, the front brown, then I kind of mixed it up with the sleeves. And this piece was easy. I don't know, I really have nothing to say. I like it. It's just a simple crop top that I did, and I actually washed it as well, and it's still intact. It's still intact. It's still intact. It's still in one piece. But yeah, this was a cool piece. I wouldn't say it's my favorite either. It's just a regular plain crop top that I made. But of course, I love everything I make, and yeah, it was nice and cool. On to the next. Now we're getting into the recent pieces. My Pride Month tank top. So this was my first time making a tank top, and I probably will never make a tank top like this again because I don't know. In the back, I kind of messed up because you can see like where I chained one and stuff. I don't know. I loved how it turned out. Like it fit me and everything, but the straps were so hard for me. I didn't know how to line them up. Like literally the front's like this, the front strap, and then the back strap is like this, but I have to force them together to create one. But all in all, I loved how it came out because it's Pride Month, duh, and it was a cool piece to make. And then I matched it with my first ever cardigan. This was the first time I've ever made a cardigan before, and I kind of made the sleeves like way too big because this was my first time making sleeves on a project before, because everything I made were crop tops and patchwork sweaters, but I never made a sleeve before. So this was my first time, and it came out like super big, but I made it work because I was not going to not wear it just because my sleeves were too big, because it was a cardigan, and so big cardigan sleeves are normal anyway. But this came out so cute. Like I love this cardigan so much, and I'm definitely going to make more. And of course I'll come out with a pattern later, but it'll be a plain pattern. It's not going to be with color changing, but I loved how it came out so much. Like I loved it. I would definitely, I feel like I say this with all my pieces, but this was definitely a top favorite. I loved everything about this. I loved the process. It wasn't like stressful or anything. I would say the sleeves were kind of stressful because I had to unravel it like 4 times. I unraveled the sleeves and redid it, but it was worth it because it came out the way it came out, and I love it so much. This is definitely like top 5 of my pieces in general. My Stripe Madness will be like my #1, then it will definitely be this, and then my patchwork, you know, here and there. But Pride piece, love it. And last but not least, I have the crop top I literally made a few days ago, which is my Stripe Madness long sleeve crop top. It's summertime, so I wanted to make a piece that's bright and summery. I loved how this top came out. Everything about it, I loved it. I also made the sleeves smaller this time because with my cardigan I made it like super huge on accident, but I slimmed down the collar. What am I saying? I toned down on the hugeness of the sleeve and made it slim to fit me because I didn't want this to look like a sweater. I wanted it to look like an actual shirt, so I tried to make the sleeve fit as much as possible. I didn't want it baggy like this, and it came out exactly how I imagined it, which was so good because when I was making this top, I was making a tutorial along with it. So if this came out bad, then I would have to redo an entire tutorial, and tutorials are not that easy to make. Like all the explaining and stuff, like oh my gosh, it's so much work. So thankfully it came out so good, and I loved how they all came out. I loved how this top came out. Of course, I used Lily Sugar and Cream yarn with this because that is my go-to cotton yarn, but I am starting to dabble in other yarns, but you'll see that in my, you know, later projects. But this is my last piece I made in, what's this month? June? Yeah, this is my last piece I made in June. So everything I've showed you in my last video and in this video, in my part 1 and part 2, were pieces I have made from kind of, my first 2 were December, but that was, I didn't even film those. So from February to, no, I lied. That wasn't from December, that was from January, because I started my channel in February. So that was January I started that. So everything I made was from January to now, and I have made more than I imagined or thought I did. I honestly felt like I haven't been making anything, but they've been like away, so I don't really see them to know that I have created them and remember that I did create them. But that is all I've created, and I still have a few purses. So I made this tote bag, this mini tote bag for my Pride Month piece. I love the tote bag, I love how it came out, and tote bags are not that easy to make, so these kind of take a lot of time in my opinion. Then I made this. This was my first tote bag I ever made because I made this with my Stripe Madness, the first one I've ever made, and this came out way better than I imagined because it was my first time making a tote bag and it came out this good. Then I made this for my Grand Canyon one. Honestly, I don't even want to get into why it even looks this ugly because I didn't want to make a tote bag because it took so much time, and when we got back from the canyon, I just wanted something like super quick to model with my shirt because I always want a purse to match with my shirt. So I made something like super quick and it came out like this. It's not bad, but I honestly want to throw it away, but I'm not. Then I made this huge tote bag, which I'm going to be coming out with a tutorial and pattern for. And this is my first time making an oversized tote bag, and I absolutely love this bag so much. Like when I go out to the park and crochet, I bring this bag with all my yarn and stuff, and it fits everything. Of course, if I made it bigger, it will fit like more stuff, but it fits enough of what I need. And I love how it came out so much. I also made this to go with another Stripe Madness, the pink and green one you saw earlier, and yeah, I love it. And then I made this one recently to match with the most recent Stripe Madness. I did more yellow on this one because I don't know, I wanted more blue on this shirt, but I did the yellow on the purse because I don't even know. But this came out cute. I don't really care how my purses come out because it's an accessory, so it doesn't even need to be seen, like I said before in my other video. But yeah, that's it. I have talked so much. I've literally talked for like 40 minutes straight just now. So that is all I have made so far. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did enjoy it, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, and also don't forget to subscribe and turn that notification bell on so you'll be notified whenever I post another video. Yeah, I'll just see you guys in my next video. Bye.